Welcome back to the Around the NFL Twitter show presented by Rocket Mortgage. Join Rocket Mortgage in saying thank you to essential workers by posting a video to everyoneknowsahero.com. My name is Dan Hansis, and I'm joined in a city filled with heroes in bunkers. Mark Sessler, Chris Wessling, and Greg Rosenthal. What is up, boys?
Hey, Dan.
How we feeling? What's it like? Bunker time. It's we're about a month in or so. We've done 25 episodes just like this. And now this is our second Twitter show, video live episode on the internet. I love it.
I think we're
feeling highly
showing
useful.
Yeah, we're showing our versatility. I mean, and also, our group goals have changed. Personally, the goals that I had for the off season have kind of just melted into a desire to kind of look like the forgotten offspring of Ted Kaczynski at this point, and I'm halfway there, getting there.
Yeah, weren't you on team
that
like
goal.
Body Fit? You wanted to get your bod right this offseason. You're giving up on that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few obstacles in my way. I think they're obvious to most watching.
Greg, how you doing, buddy?
I'm feeling good.
I haven't asked you that in a while. Just wanted to check in with you.
I'm feeling great. I mean, it's family. I'm liking the family time. I'm fine with it.
It's a little excessive, but
you can't get Greg to crack on the family time angle. Am I right? I feel like Dan and I, we're kind of occasionally
they're the only other three people I trust. They're the inner circle. Everyone else is on the outside.
Wow.
Okay. There are parents out there struggling a little bit. I'm with you.
We've got a lot coming up today. Special guest Cam Jordan joining us. We're going to hit up the mailbag. We're going to share one final thought. But before that, the news of the week. Let's get to it. All right. The Jacksonville Jaguars. They got a lot cooking right now. They're trying to reboot the thing. They almost got to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, but it's all kind of falling apart. The Nick Foles signing last year in free agency bombed. They had a terrible season. Doug Marrone somehow survives. The front office is intact, but they got stuff to do. Gardner Minshew, who was a 6th-round pick last year, who did some things for them as a rookie, he makes sense as the presumed starter, but with the draft coming up, who knows? Well, Leonard Fournette, the former 1st-round pick, has something to say about this. He has a theory. He went on social media, said he wants the team to sign Cam Newton, the star quarterback, the former MVP that cut loose by the Panthers this spring. Your thoughts on this, Wes? Do you think Cam Newton would be a good fit in Jacksonville? And do you like that it's coming from Fournette?
Well, football seasons are precious. There are only 16 or 17 of these games. If you think Cam Newton increases your odds of having a meaningful season, by all means, go for it. That's fair. It's also fair to wonder if the guy who admitted he was out of shape and didn't commit to football in 2018 should be taking this public to undermine his quarterback. And it's fair for Minshew to wonder if a guy who doesn't have the lateral agility to make guys miss in the open field and is not really an asset on passing downs should be saying this. Maybe the Jacksonville Jaguars could upgrade at running back instead of quarterback.
Here's a quote from Fournette. Cam went to the Super Bowl. He's a great guy. I've been knowing Cam for a minute now. And like I told some people that talked to me, it's no disrespect to Gardner Minshew. I'm just trying to get in the best position as a team as we can to win.
I do think the Jaguars should sign another quarterback. I mean, no matter how much you like Minshew, whether he gets hurt or some other reason, there are values out there. It's Cam, it's Andy Dalton, could be Jameis Winston. It makes for a complicated situation, but I also wouldn't mind them trading Leonard Fournette on draft day. I mean, he has been a headache for them. He is not a particularly effective running back. I don't think he's any better than average. They've been admitting a lot of Tom Coughlin mistakes in the last few years, and this could be another one. Just send him out for like a 5th-round pick. So long.
I don't know. Like the Jaguars, to me, if there's a team you look around the league and say it's hard to completely figure out what the master plan is, that would be Jacksonville. And I don't hate the idea of a quarterback with upside on his rookie contract. They don't have a lot of cap room. And, I am pro Minshew, I'll obviously, but it wasn't Gardner Minshew who allowed nearly 200 yards on the ground over the course of a 5-game losing streak that sunk their season last year. The quarterback was not their major issue.
I feel like two things could be right. The Jaguars would be better with Cam Newton and would be better to get a little more insurance at the quarterback position. And Leonard Fournette shouldn't be saying anything about anybody because he has not been a huge asset to that team, and that was not a great draft pick. All right, let's move
Way to
on.
put a bow on it, Dan.
All right, that's what I do as the host. The Jets and Jamal Adams. The soap opera had died down a little bit in recent months, but it pops back up again. This from ESPN's Adam Schefter, that Jamal Adams will skip the NFL, the voluntary virtual offseason program for the Jets over a contract dispute. Jamal Adams is entering the 4th year of his rookie contract. He is one of the best safeties in football. He wants a new deal. He wanted a new deal last year. He still wants a new deal. The Jets have yet to get into any serious talks with him toward that, and it's unclear if they will do that at this point. So now he is now sending his latest shot across the Jets' bow, and you do wonder, a little smoke, and as a Jets fan, I'll be tracking this very closely with the draft coming up in a week. Greg Rosenthal, could Jamal Adams get moved for a high draft pick?
I doubt it, but there were those reports from Ian Rappaport that for a certain price, and it was really high, like a first plus, Jamal Adams could have been had by the Dallas Cowboys last October. So that would indicate for a huge price they would deal him. I just wonder, like in today's or this offseason, like how effective skipping voluntary virtual programs are going to be. This feels like the most toothless holdout ever. Oh, what? You're not like showing up to the Zoom class for a couple hours.
Yeah, it's a little bit. For Jamal to make a statement, this one's not going to hit too hard.
The Cowboys are lurking. They offered a first-round pick and one of their cornerbacks in the fall, and Mike Fisher, a local journalist, local scribe in Dallas, said the Jets wanted about triple that value. But Fisher also said today the Cowboys are still interested. They're not going away if Adams continues to make waves.
Adams is a fantastic player. Go ahead, Mark.
No, I was going to say, Joe Douglas, well respected around the league, came in with a lot of buzz. And if, a couple off seasons in, you're moving Jamal Adams, I'm questioning what the Jets are doing at that point. I don't really care what they get in return. I mean, what is the anchoring roster position on this team? Who's the guy you build around if you move Jamal Adams? I mean, as a Jets fan, Dan, would that not be distressing
I would say
to you?
My answer to that, Mark, would be, and I like Jamal Adams a lot. He's a great player and exciting, and he's fun to track. But how many teams build a franchise around a safety? I mean, I think they should stay in business with this guy. But
I would go. The Ravens did, the Steelers did on defense to some degree for a long period of success, and he's that kind of player. So I hear you. It's not the only guy.
Is he one of the greatest safeties? Is he Troy Polamalu or Jamal or Ed Reed? I don't know. Maybe he's that good, but I just think that he came in under a different regime, Jamal Adams, and if Joe Douglas sees an opportunity to stockpile draft picks and continue to build this team, this is what happens in the NFL. I don't even think it's a Jet-specific thing, that when new leadership comes in, if they have an opportunity to build a team in their vision, it happens. I don't want Jamal Adams going anywhere, but also if the Cowboys were willing to drop a first-round pick or a first and a second or something, I would think about it. I think they would be
Gotta be
forced not
more
to.
than that. I mean, your best case scenario is getting a Jamal Adams in the first round. So I know it's cheaper, but it would have to be a bounty. And I don't think they would trade him unless it was a really huge offer.
All right.
We
news,
saw Jamal Adams, by the way, at that pool party at the Super Bowl, and I would say that his career trajectory has just not been the same since. This is.
I know
we sniff that out.
He is vastly underpaid in relation to the other top safeties in the league. But having that up close and personal, staying in the same hotel in Miami as Jamal Adams, seems like life is pretty good. That should be thrown out there. It seems like everything's going
fine. He's doing fine.
Young Jamal Adams. Okay, up next, Christian McCaffrey got paid. So in a world where the running backs struggle to get the big contract, where the big deals in recent memory, Todd Gurley, Le'Veon Bell, haven't been working out, Christian McCaffrey got paid in a big way. 4 years, $64 million. It's a contract extension that takes him through 2025. I believe it's around $30 million, fully guaranteed at signing. So this is the biggest contract in the history of the NFL for a running back. Chris Wesseling, was this money well spent by the Carolina Panthers?
Well, for a running back, it's hard to say, but to me, it reminds me of Peyton Manning with the Colts and their general manager at the time, Bill Polian, would say, "We don't have a backup plan because if he goes down, we're screwed." Panthers didn't even bother to carry a backup running back last year. They cut C.J. Anderson because they couldn't take McCaffrey off the field. If Leonard Fournette is a guy who was a 3-down back maybe in a previous generation, but not really this one, McCaffrey is this generation's 3-down back. He's what you want at the position.
Hmm. I don't think it was too much money. If you really, drill down, he's going to be there for the next 3 years. And he's going to make about $31 million in those 3 years. And it's recognizing a leader and your best player. And I don't care that he plays running. I know it hasn't worked out with the other guys. Like, he's not those guys. There's every indication to believe he will be getting 1,500 to 2,000 total yards from scrimmage every season, and he's going to be 24 years old when the guaranteed money runs out.
Here's some tweets,
Right, it's like
by the way, that we saw connected to the McCaffrey signing. I mean, Panthers, they're gonna build around him, and he's gonna be the face, and he's certainly a guy that is photogenic, that they could say this is the star of our team. But I still, this is so absurd. As I'm watching this, I'm still thinking like, damn, Cam was a great guy to build around too. These two guys could still be playing together, but that's not the path they decided to go.
Felt like
Mark?
Matt Rule wanted to be his team, not Cam's team. And this is like, it's a good thing that they're keeping some of the guys, but he's making it Matt Rule's team. He's the boss.
It's similar to
I have
what
no
we were just
problem
talking
when
about with the Jets. Some people, that's the way this thing operates, where the new leadership comes in, and maybe it's not even the right move. Like, maybe Cam leaving the Panthers was the right move. Maybe Jamal Adams maybe leaving the Jets would be a bad move. But that's just how things tend to operate. Your thoughts, Mark?
No, I agree with Greg on the point that I get that some of these running back contracts have been disastrous, and someone like Le'Veon Bell, part of it was the way he approached getting a new contract and really going to a Jets team where he wasn't in a great position to succeed the way he did in Pittsburgh. I look at McCaffrey as a completely different human being, and in addition to a roster and a type of the way he's young, he's 23. He's going to be there for 2 or 3 years. You got to build around someone. And this seems like the perfect guy to do it with. I mean, parting ways with him in a year or two, then I'm looking at the Panthers like the Jaguars. I have no idea what you're doing at that point.
Erica, what do you think about the Panthers, where they're going as a franchise right now? I haven't heard any of your thoughts on the Carolina situation yet.
Can McCaffrey run between the tackles, Erica?
Yes, he can. I really think he can.
Confirmed.
I've seen it. We've all seen it. So that's good. Yeah, I think this is a great move, and he's going to prove the running back contract situation, wrong. He's going to be the first one that's going to succeed.
And also, I see the leather jacket is out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's new. That's a new look since the bunker cast began. I guess they were collecting dust, and it was time to try them on again.
Yeah, party on the bottom and business on top. So, had to throw the leather jacket on for today's big show.
You've really come a long way since waking up like 90 minutes ago. Great work.
Yeah. Thank you.
I've also noticed we've now had a full week on the Twitter show to make any adjustments to the production and how the visuals are. You're still front and center here whenever we throw it to you.
Yeah, that they say to put the most, important person in the middle. So when, I'm on the screen, it just happens that way. And now I'm full screen because that's how it should be. All the time.
And you're controlling this, obviously.
I have no control of this show, so.
Well, you're doing great, Leather. We'll check back in with you in a little bit.
Leather. Okay, thanks, guys. You're doing great. Keep it up.
Let's move on. Let's talk a little bit of trade stuff going on out there. Mike Lombardi, former NFL media columnist, good friend of Mark Sessler, and also a former NFL executive, reported via a league source that the Buccaneers are looking to trade tight end O.J. Howard, a former first-round pick who Mark had flashed with the team leading into last season. Last season just didn't go well for Howard. He dealt with injuries, struggled to get any sense of rapport with Jameis Winston, and perhaps with Bruce Arians running the show there. Again, another situation. This isn't a good fit, and the coach wants somebody else in there, and he's got the loudest voice in the room. Maybe is that the situation here, Mark?
I mean, it seems like there's been this like ill fit between Arians and Howard, and it's not just people don't, you can't fit a tight end into Bruce Arians' offense. The timing to me feels weird because I would look at anything with Tom Brady as at this point a 1 year journey. Maybe it's two ultimately, but you got 1 year. Why
Guaranteed
are
for
you
2.
shipping? Well, I'm just saying, why ship OJ Howard out of town at this point and not just totally go for it? I mean, he just struggled on a Patriots team post Rob Gronkowski with no tight end, and now you're going to move OJ Howard. I know you got Cameron Brate, but why not have two?
Yeah, I'm
2 is
with you on
good.
that. The timing just seems awful. That last year, every serious fantasy football guy in the country was saying, I don't want to touch OJ Howard coming off a good year because Bruce Arians just doesn't use tight ends. But now it's going to be some kind of amalgam of Bruce Arians' offense, Byron Leftwich, and Tom Brady. And Brady has always used tight ends, like you said, Mark, specifically a 6'7", highly athletic tight end, which is what OJ Howard is.
I would go after OJ Howard if you're a team out there because I feel like tight ends, you're eating that rookie contract those first 2 years, especially. It feels like it's the hardest position to master at the pro level to transition, and Howard has had his share of them. But when you watch him, the physicality is just almost unmatched at the position. That's why he went so high. And I feel like if you're in the right offense, like a Colts or a Chiefs type offense, they will find a way to use OJ Howard.
What about your Patriots, Greg? It seems like they could use a tight end right now. Jarrett Stidham and OJ.
What Larry Izzo's not doing it for you? Yeah, they could
I mean,
use a
he's
lot of
not.
tight
I don't
end.
know why.
It's
All
yeah,
right,
it's a
guys.
problem. They could use
Let's
both.
let's stick a pin in this. That's what's happening in the news. It's time to bring in our guest, and it's a good one. Yeah, sometimes we don't do guests a lot because we want the real stars of the league, and we got one in Cam Jordan, defensive end, New Orleans Saints. Welcome to the Around the NFL Twitter show, Cam.
Hey, I appreciate you guys having me on. Super excited to be here.
Cam has
Look at
been
that
feeding.
background. You got the background game going. I would tell you, you put us to shame. What is that?
Now, look,
That is glorious.
there's a lot of time in the houses, and so a local artist down in New Orleans made this huge portrait of me with the mustache up and everything going. I was like, how would I disrespect this man if I don't put him in my office? So now
That's
he's
good.
sitting there.
Looks
Looking
like
good.
New
So now
Orleans.
I've got me up top. I've got Steve Jordan represented down low.
There you
I got
go.
the whole Jordan gang here.
Your old man. Yep. There you go. It's generations of football talent connected to the Jordan family. Cam has been feeding local workers at the Oxnard Health and other frontline workers throughout the coronavirus pandemic. That obviously everyone has been so hit hard by this awful pandemic, Cam, and you're just doing your part to help out, and that's great to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's not about the money given out; it's about the place in which you're giving, and that's straight from the heart. You talk about what Oshner Health and everybody from doctors, nurses to firefighters, police officers, everybody who's even in hospice. You talk about everybody who's on the front line, everybody who's helping to push this virus and try and help quarantine, help rally everybody who has been affected by this virus. And so, you got Fat Boys Pizza, who has done a phenomenal job of feeding these guys. I mean, making these huge 30-inch pizzas. I mean, bringing it through, have Caesar salads, Italian salads, all this other food going through it. There's local restaurateurs or local chefs that have just reached out to me like, hey, I want to make an effect, but it's not cost friendly. And the Lord has blessed me with so much, not only family legacy, but talent to be on the field, to provide for my family and have excess to then turn around and give to people like Second Harvest, who feed the kids, which there's so many different initiatives. I mean, we teamed up with Dream Builders, who then, gave out diapers, diaper wipes, formula to inner city people who needed this type of things as they're going through this month long being in the house situation. People are affected in such a huge way. It's only right that I try and do a little bit to do what I can to try and give back.
You're doing a lot. You've partnered with Dream Builders and United Health Foundation to donate $5,000 to the infant and toddler program in New Orleans, and you've also donated $10,000 to the city of New Orleans to help provide technology for students who do not have internet devices at home, which is an awesome cause because it's hard to imagine being kind of in the dark during this situation, and the internet connects everybody. Cam, what's going on with you and the Saints? First of all, you were drafted first round back in 2011. You're still there. That is very rare on its own. Take us back, your memories of when that happened, when you came into the league, being drafted by the Saints. How did it change your life? How did it change you? Didn't change you at all, did it?
I mean, I would say, sometimes people don't change, and I like to think that I have the same mindset as when I first came into the league. I'm trying to still learn and cultivate all of my pass rush moves. I'm trying to, in my mind, I'm trying to make sure that everything that I do on and off the field aligns with what I've always wanted to do, and that is to strive and take a step towards being better than the previous year. And I feel like my career has been indicative of the struggles that I've gone through, from the first year only having one sack, being told I wasn't a pass rusher, to fast forward 9 seasons later sitting at 86 sacks. I think I've done quite well in that department.
Very well.
Yeah, you were one of the
Yeah,
four defensive
Might be 87.
I'll double check
You're one
on
of the
that.
four
Keep
defensive
going, guys.
ends on the all-decade team, Cam. What did that mean to you, just having the sort of longevity and the names that you were next to on that team, like Julius Peppers and Calais Campbell?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Julius Peppers, who, you watch him play basketball and football over at UNC. This is somebody that I grew up and was growing up and was like in high school. Was like, Julius Peppers is that dude. It was like Julius Peppers and the Freak, and then of course Javon Course retires. Julius Peppers is a young gun going through it, and by the time I hit the league, he's a well-established veteran who is a legend in his own right. It's like, all right, well. I was like, this is somebody who I want to emulate, and to even have somebody like that that you look up to. I mean, coming from my high school alone, we had Terrell Suggs, which I'm still confused on how he doesn't make the All-Decade team. In my mind, there's definitely his outside linebacker spot should have been secured. We see Terrell Suggs come through the league, and he's from Arizona. He's from started off at my high school, Chandler High, and then goes to our rival high school for 2 years. And I'm sure he claims the rival high school, but I still claim him. I still claim Terrell Suggs when he was out there, a running back for Chandler High. Nobody remembers that one, but that was me. I was like in the stands, like, he's a monster, and he's going to the league. He's like, if he can do it, maybe I can do it. And that's when you have that reality grip to you. So to be able to be in the league and see greats like that, and to play along them and to even be considered, part of the All-Decade team is just a huge honor.
One of the biggest stories surrounding the Saints, I think, this year is the concept that Drew Brees signs a deal with NBC. We don't know when that will begin, when his playing days end. Initially, maybe he'll be doing bowling on Saturdays. I'm not sure. But at some point, they're going to have him doing, I think at some point, they're looking at major, primetime NFL action.
I believe it was
You've been
Notre
around
Dame,
Drew Brees.
actually.
All right.
I
maybe
believe it was Notre Dame telecast, not bowling. But go on.
Well, I view him as versatile. So here's my question to you. You've been around Drew Brees, and I think he wouldn't have been the first guy I would have picked in the league to become like the next big announcer. From what little I know about him, but you know him so well. What would make him, everyone's looking for the next Tony Romo. What would make him, in your mind, a different type of announcer, someone that would stand out from the rest?
His ability to, I wouldn't say be the next Tony Romo. I mean, Drew Brees is going to go down as one of the greatest of all times, if not the greatest of all times. It's in terms of yards, in terms of completion, in terms of completion percentage, in terms of touchdowns. Every record that has been set, he's broken. And at this point, he seems to be creating some distance now. When you talk about him signing, is that a futures contract? I don't know. Yeah, I haven't even really paid attention to him signing another contract because he signed back with the Saints. So I don't really have to worry about what he's doing in his off time.
That's all that matters.
But I mean, everything that I know him, everything he's done, he's charismatic and he does to the fullest. You talk about, from being on the field to the way he's meticulous and, his regimen of how he stayed in shape and how he stayed so great over his years. I can only imagine what's going to happen if he shifts focus to be, the next reporter. At this point, he's proven he can do whatever he wants. He can be the guy for restaurants, for football, for I think he had a mattress at one point. The Breeze Easy, whatever it was. Why not go this avenue?
Fans around the league have a fascination with Taysom Hill for many reasons. Drew Brees is at the year-to-year portion of his career. Taysom's been a fun gadget player to watch, but there's also kind of a skepticism because he wasn't drafted high as a quarterback. What do you guys see? We hear that inside the building, that there are not really major doubts about his ability as a quarterback.
I mean, didn't he get slapped with a first-round tender? If that doesn't tell you
Oh,
how
yeah.
much he's valued within building,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it wasn't like a low round, like, hey, we just want to keep him. No, I mean, there's clearly up top sees a future for Taysom Hill. The way he's versatile in terms of covering kicks, from returning punts, from whatever it is, you can't mark where Taysom Hill can play, and that's the versatility that he's shown, and sort of been the Swiss Army blade knife that has made the team, and then cut a defined position for him. And you talk about his arm strength, you talk about him learning from Drew Brees. I mean, anybody that gets to take the role of sitting and watching Drew in meetings, in practice, is just going to make a better quarterback. And so you've seen him toss the ball a couple of times, and as the next couple of years, maybe you see that more. I do know that if the up top trusts him, we've been to playoffs 3 years in a row, and we won our division 3 times in a row. We're getting that much closer, so I'm gonna keep on trusting him.
Every time somebody comes into the league that's a pass rusher, and I'm sure you were asked this question, Cam. I remember interviewing you before you came into the league when you were visiting NFL Network. I'm sure I asked you this terrible question: who is the quarterback you most like to sack once you get to the NFL? And maybe you said Tom Brady. Everybody seems to say Tom Brady. Now you get a chance to sack Tom Brady a couple times a year. You must be pumped.
Yeah, I'm super, super excited here. Like, yes, I get to go after somebody who's won 6 Super Bowls. Yeah, no, because that's how many opportunities you normally get against a Super Bowl caliber quarterback who, like Tom Brady, is phenomenal for getting the ball out fast. No, I mean, this is exactly what you want. His reaction to throwing the ball. Yes, I love it. We all know if he doesn't see deep balls, check down. We get that. And as a defender, I'm so excited for that to be in my conference. Then, of course, I got Teddy Bridgewater in my conference, who knows our
Plus,
defense. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to go against these guys for the next, 2 years for Tom Brady. I mean, the next 5 or 6 for Teddy Bridgewater. I'm super stoked.
It sounds like you're really
Got
going to
some
miss Jameis Winston, and what it sounds like. That wasn't.
Oh man, Jameis was good to me. I mean,
Yeah.
He's good to the whole Saints organization.
My favorite quarterback is Matt Ryan. Anyways, he's been good to me. Okay, I've gone through like 8 quarterbacks over in Tampa. I've gone I'm going to go to 2 quarterbacks in the Panthers, and I've only got one constant. Matty Ice completes me.
And he gets super mad on the field too. You must be it must feel even better when he's all angry and barking at his offensive lineman and stuff after you rip him to the turf.
I don't even think he's barking at offensive lineman. When Matt Ryan gets upset, I think he's talking to himself. Like, he's like, come on, Matt. Like, I think Matt is an overly, genuinely good guy. Like, you see Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers is cursing everybody else out. And I don't know if he curses, so maybe that's me taking a step too far. Like, he's talking to everybody else.
It's a gosh darn it situation
like,
with him.
Yeah. Yeah, Matt Ryan might be on the same, like, come on, Matt. Get the ball out, Matt. Like, when I see him, and I'm like, and I've sacked him probably more than anybody else in the league. Like, he doesn't point towards the offensive lineman. He points at himself, which, you can do when you have Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones and had Mohamed Sanu at a point, and he's had a great receiving core. So he pointed in, and then he starts lighting the scoreboard up. So
all right, I did the research here. Matt Ryan,
go ahead, drop it.
Favorite, 87 sacks. Okay, and I'm not great at math, but I did some tabulations here. You're entering your age 31
69
season.
sacks everywhere else. Go ahead, continue.
All right. 87, entering age 31. If you average 15, and you had 15 this year, right? If you average 15 a year over the next 5 years, which would take you through age 36, that puts you in the top 3 all time. It would move you past Kevin Green and right behind Reggie White. I think you could do it. I mean, you take care of yourself. You're getting better as your career is going on. What do you think? Are you going to get into that top 3 sack list all time? Let's go, Cam Jordan. Let's fly.
Don't give me goosebumps here. Look, at this point, it's sort of like a race between the 2011 draft class. I mean, you got Von Miller, you got J.J. Watt, you got Ryan Kerrigan, and then I think I'm fourth on our list alone. You know, when you just talk about the 2011 draft class, like it's deep.
It's a historic draft.
Then of course, right. Then you talk about, Alden Smith is coming back to the league, and he was the fastest to 44 sacks, 45 sacks. You talk about Robert Quinn has been, stellar the last 2 years, coming back strong. Justin Houston has been a 20 sack guy. I don't look too much farther than my own draft class for where I'm at.
Wow.
You are a guy
Unbelievable.
that's gotten better though throughout your career. Is there something in the like New Orleans food that's keeping you strong? Like what's your go-to there that's getting you better?
See, if anything, it's like during season I don't touch New Orleans food. It's
Dangerous.
like New Orleans food is too good. You can't just have one plate. You can't just like that etouffee was wonderful. I'm good. No, you go back for seconds. So if anything, I've stuck to my regimented Arizona background, like quesadillas, tacos, the stuff that I grew up on. You come here and it's like all these French sauces, all bolognese sauces, all these, all that is the culinary decadence that is New Orleans. And you start to get a little cheeky. The cheeks start touching your neck sort of shrinks. Everything comes here. You get a little bit more broad in the chest. It's not what you want.
No, it is not what you want. Cam
fair.
Unless you
Jordan will
want to
be part.
but whatever.
Yeah, no, right, and that's not you. Cam will be part of of Draftathon Live. Listen to this: a 3-day streaming event to benefit the NFL's Draftathon is to benefit and raise money for COVID-19 relief. NFL.com/relief to donate a good cause. And you're obviously very busy with trying to help people out right now because you're a good dude. And thank you for coming on our show. Cam Jordan, best of luck getting into that top 3. And hell, go for Bruce Smith, number 1. Just go for it.
200. Yes, let's
200.
go.
Let's go. You can do it. Watch out, Matt Ryan. All right. Thank you, Cam Jordan.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cam.
Thank you guys for having me on. Yeah, you guys have to stay blessed, stay safe.
Thank you, my man.
You too.
All right. That was good. Man, I like that. Man. I like him. And I mentioned it in the interview that after he was drafted, remember the green room, Mark? Well, it's the same green room here or at NFL Network. And he was totally down to earth. And I remember talking to him about, he did this, his father, Steve Jordan, who was a tight end and he played with the Vikings, did this vignette for WWF back in 1992 with Mr. Perfect, the great wrestler, where Mr. Perfect was showing how great he was at throwing a football. And Steve Jordan told me Cam said he was there as a child in the Metrodome for that filming. And he was very down to earth in 2011 and still the same guy today. So good for him.
Hasn't changed. I think I interviewed Barkevius Mingo that day, thinking that he was going to turn into the same type of player for the Browns. Did not happen.
We got a tweet. Let's check it out. Paul, the heroes look like a 4-man Big Ben tribute act. The show is
Yeah.
Are we
approximately
that? Have we
93%
gone that
beard.
far off the grid at this
I mean,
point?
that would be great. I mean, it would be growing out a little more. Yeah, we all decided to grow these beards out. I'm feeling like I'm about done with this. I'm almost ready to.
Really?
Yeah, but
give
you were rocking the beard, Greg, before
Yeah.
this hit.
Doesn't make it look any better. It's pretty mangy.
Yeah,
look
but you
good.
can't bounce on the mission now. I mean, we've all agreed to do this as a 4-person
Okay,
project.
okay.
You're gonna jump
drew
out on
blood.
it? No, you're not.
We drew blood and
I
shook
think-
hands. Wes.
Greg is blaming the beard for what the hair's got going on.
Yeah, the hair is
That's-
rough
that's-
too.
that's
Yeah,
my call.
I need to get it.
Oh,
Need
the
to get a
hair's the
haircut.
mess. Yeah.
The wife is going to do a sideburns and clean up in the back, trim and shave later today. A little bit nervous about that, but what are you going to do? All right, let's dig into the mailbag. It's that time of the show where we reach out and ask you, the viewer / listener, to connect with us. B. Cruzzle asks, what second-year QB will have the best season? Interesting. All right, let's go through what the options are. Kyler Murray, who I imagine is the favorite. Danny Dimes of the Giants, You have Gardner Minshew, who we talked about earlier today. We have Dwayne Haskins. Who jumps out to you guys? Wes.
Well, Kyler Murray, I think it was fair to say that he and Gardner Minshew were pretty close as rookies as far as their production on the field. Now you throw DeAndre Hopkins into the Kyler Murray offense, and to me, he's the runaway choice here.
Yeah, I'm expecting a big second-year leap out of Kyler Murray. I think they're cautious in how they use his legs, but it gives him such an advantage. I think he's somehow an underrated runner. He's not quite Lamar Jackson, but he's almost as elusive. Which, along with the decision making, he is set up for a monster year.
What do you think,
I
Mark?
wonder if Dwayne Haskins might have serious competition, depending on what they do in the draft. I would imagine not. I like Daniel Jones. He had some games where he kind of blew up, and Giants fans have some hope. But it's Kyler Murray. I mean, I don't know how you can cook up an argument for someone else, but I thought he showed a lot last year, and you throw Hopkins in there, and the whole offense kind of has a chance to grow. It was a very unusual attack for a lot of the veterans to learn. I mean, this offseason isn't giving you as many reps as you'd want, obviously, but I like the Cardinals. Arrow up year 2.
Murray makes the most sense. I think he would be easily the favorite out of this group, but I do think Danny Dimes, especially considering where he plays the market, I feel like he flies under the radar a little bit. He had 3 games where he had at least 4 touchdown passes. Now, he had some real issues with ball security and fumbling and awareness, and that is, he's a rookie. So if he could clean up the issues with turnovers and fumbles specifically, he really showed up. He showed something last year, really.
He reminds me a lot of
Jameis.
He reminds me a lot of Jameis Winston as a rookie, and if he can actually mature a little bit more than Jameis did, I think you're right. I think people are sleeping a little bit on his potential.
All right, let's move on to another question. James asks, which active player would each hero lay some desert dollars? I don't know what those are on breaking the single season sack record. Well, we wouldn't do any wagering, but Cam Jordan, of course. Is that what the question is?
Got to go Cam Jordan. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to throw this in there. It has to be Cam based on this episode alone. I mean, I'm not trying to be a homer here, but Myles Garrett has the talent to do it. He was in good position last year to do that for the Browns in terms of a franchise record, and then disaster struck. I don't know what would have happened with that entire team and him had he played a full 16 games.
Well, I think J.J. Watt has reached the back 9 of his career, but Aaron Donald's still in his prime and is the most unblockable force in football. That would be my choice.
Yeah, I'm with Donald. I'm going Donald there. Let's Greg, do you have something you want to throw in?
No, I don't.
Nice. Okay. All right, next question. I said next question. Scotty Evans asks, which NFL virtual war room would each of you want to sit in during the entire draft? This one's easy for me. I want to go sit in the Houston Texans war room and just see everyone be terrified of Bill O'Brien, because if you don't, I want people feeding Bill grapes and, hiding under their desks and doing that thing where whatever Bill O'Brien says, they go, yeah, that's a great idea, Bill. I love that idea. That is where I want to be. I just want to see what it's like to actually rule an entire organization with an iron fist, and you're actually wearing an iron fist that you pound on the table.
Well, this whole social distancing thing is perfect for Bill O'Brien, because the war room is his house, and no one he's gonna turn off all calls, and he's just the guy who's set up making the picks.
The man is constantly at war. That's absolutely right.
I don't think O'Brien necessarily would welcome you or any of us into his basement, isolated one-man bunker. I think John Schneider would. Because you're not going to see the group dynamic. I'd like to just hang out with John Schneider, maybe split a nice bottle of wine, and the guy seems like he'd be fun to, just talk about the world with.
What if you showed up and he was shirtless with a? What if he was shirtless with a championship belt on when he answered the door? Do you go in?
That's what I'm expecting. That's what I'm hoping for.
I like the flipping it the other way around, where you show up shirtless with a championship belt and he's wearing like a collared shirt and a jacket.
That's the part I can
Spider-Man
control. That would be happening. Yes.
Next tweet. Is there any fear, this is from Oliver Gray, is there any fear that TB12 in Tampa is the next phase of Operation Pink Pony? Mark, this one is a question for you, and a quick explainer. What is Operation Pink Pony?
Pink Pony basically is the theory that any major figure that leaves the Patriots organization has been sent out to basically destroy the team they're with, to get out of New England's way. I don't look at the Bucks one so much, because the Bucks and Patriots don't really tangle. If the Detroit Lions, and there's a little bit of scuttlebutt about this, ship the number 3 pick to New England for like four wooden chairs and a bowl of porridge, then you know that something is wrong in the air. Because I could see, Matt Patricia finding a way to get New England up there to number 3, and then when the Detroit Lions melt down, Matt Patricia's back as New England's defensive coordinator a year from now. That's how Pink Pony works.
Ooh. Well, Jason Light,
explain it.
their GM, is a former Patriots front office, so it could be like a long game here. That he's going to help them out. I don't know how that would help the Patriots out exactly, but
Pink Pony is long game.
What do you think, Wes?
Is Tom Brady part of Pink Pony? No, I
Next
don't think
tweet.
that's going on.
This one from Dusty Bottoms. Is Greg's Josh Allen quote unquote takes this offseason made completely out of fear of the Bills organization becoming the next big thing in the AFC East? Ooh, saucy.
Ooh.
Actually,
Keeps me
Greg,
up
I
at-
want to
keeps me up at night.
from Sam. What would Josh Allen have to do regarding TDs, completion percentage, to make Greg believe he's a franchise quarterback? Greg, before I get your answer on this, I'm just curious what Wes's answer is about this take.
Well, I don't really, you've heard this from me before. I don't really care about the stats. Like, football stats don't do it for me. I don't think they show you what's really going on in the field. Josh Allen has to make better decisions under pressure. I think that's his biggest problem. And the next biggest thing is to throw with touch on his deep ball. He throws with plenty of power, but it's a timing issue. The ball has to get there when the receiver's ready for it, and that has been a big problem with him.
All right, Greg,
how
speak
about-
to this. It sounds like criticism of you, to be honest.
I mean, how about not melt down in all the biggest games in your career? How about not be one of the least accurate quarterbacks in the league? Like, it doesn't seem that crazy to me. I think he's he's become a decent starter, but not a better than average starter, and not really someone that you would bet on long term. He reminds me a lot of Blake Bortles coming off Bortles' second season, when people like myself were a little too excited about the stats they put up the year before, and like looking at all the pretty obvious red flags.
I think
My
meltdown in
biggest
every big
issue-
game is
go
a
ahead.
little rough.
Right.
I mean, okay, the two biggest Patriots games last year, like when he had a chance to win the division, he didn't play great. When the first time he played the Patriots, he didn't play great. The meltdown in the playoffs is what it was. But the accuracy just on like a week-to-week level is more the issue. Like, what great quarterbacks can you remember that are that inaccurate?
Well, I think
Tough.
where I depart from Greg, and I think where Bills fans get a little upset, is that your analysis of him seems to completely rule out the possibility with a guy who has that much athleticism, a rare athlete, often the best athlete on the field, can't improve.
Right. I guess I'm basing it off of the accuracy and the decision making has been consistently like below what you would want basically at every level of football that he's ever played.
Greg, you better be right about this one, because you got a lot riding on it. First of all, it's your personal
Why?
reputation as a talent evaluator
Sam
at the
G.
quarterback position. Number two,
My reputation is over. I thought Blake Bortles
Number
was going to
two.
be amazing.
Number two, if you are wrong about Josh Allen, the Patriots will be rendered irrelevant, because if he is a good quarterback with the rest of the talent they have in that roster, you bang.
It's a great-
You're going to be a
it's
couple
a-
games out of first place.
That's fine. They've been in first place enough. The Bills are in great position. I'm saying but for instance, the Bills fans were upset Brandon Beane did not make the top 10 of a GM rankings. They are just fired up about everything. And they haven't had a top 10 team yet. It's a lot of hype about a team that has not been a top 10 NFL team yet. It's like let's do something.
It's
first.
starting to feel a little personal between you and the fans. That's all. On both sides. That's all. Let's get to one final thought before we say goodbye. This is where we share something that didn't come up in today's show, but it's something we thought about as we track the National Football League this week. Greg, why don't we start with you?
Sure. I saw a tweet from our friend Daniel Jeremiah on Thursday night saying he thinks this draft is going to be less predictable because there's been less groupthink with all the NFL decision makers not hanging out with each other at pro days and in various league events throughout the spring, which sounds great. And it makes me think, like, this is your chance, GMs around the league. Let's make this draft as spicy as possible. This is the only sporting event that we're going to have. Like, let's have a lot of surprises. Let's have big time veteran trades. It's up to you to give the American people some entertainment. Like, let's not have a boring draft. Let's just go wild. Whatever crazy move you can make it. Do it for the people.
It. Mark, your turn.
One item we didn't hit that this week, the Browns introduced their new / old retro uniforms. And, I've worked closely with you guys. You know that the threads they wore over the last half decade were traumatic to me. And, they were nice enough to send Andrew Siciliano a Nick Chubb jersey. I think that's well done. And look at them. These look classic, old school. Do I what?
This is Mark's final thought, but it's fair to ask. It's fair to ask, who's the most famous Browns fan in NFL media? Is it Siciliano or is it Sessler? The Browns are coming down Siciliano way, but I think
they are
Sessler should be
ruling
getting
Siciliano, and they're having more FaceTime with Siciliano, so I understand where that may be coming from, and I also don't understand. But at the same time, my thing is this: there's all these uniforms changing left and right, and if Cleveland's a lesson to any team out there that already has a good-looking uniform, come on, don't change it. Stick with it. We don't need to change them just for the sake of it. Here's a couple of drawings the obsessed middle school me put together back in the mid to late 80s, and that's the Cleveland Browns uniform that a lot of Browns fans grew up with. Come on,
Big
guys,
lunch
don't
for Bernie
change.
Kosar that day.
What, is he looking a little thick in that picture?
A little THICC.
Bernie doesn't think so.
Whoa, look at this.
Yeah, so
Wait,
he's
Bernie
of it.
replying to the art.
It is. And Dan, he looks a little thick in that picture because that's those old school 80s wintertime uniforms where like the quarterback would stick his hand into those pockets on either side. And you can see that right there on top of, there it is. So don't change them. Enough with changing uniforms. If you've already got a good one, don't throw the fans for a big loop for 5 years.
That's very cool, Mark. Your boyhood hero interacting with you. He's a good guy, that Bernie Kosar.
Nice man.
Wes, one final thought.
Well, I've been waiting for this, The Last Dance documentary on Michael Jordan and the Bulls for a decade now. Even before I knew it was in the works, I've just been, I don't have confidence in sports movies, but I like sports documentaries. And this was the topic I wanted to see explored. So allow me to wax philosophical for just a second here. Arya Stark from Game of Thrones taught us the one thing we say to death: not today. And witnessing pure sports moments, watching the drama build minute by minute, a special athlete pushing the boundaries of the human body, the crescendo moment, the crowd erupting in unison, the goosebumps, that feeling that you just saw a man leave his body and levitate above us for a moment. Did you see what he just did? And you think to yourself, you might get me someday, Grim Reaper, but not today. Not today, buddy. And Michael Jordan gave me more of those moments than any other athlete by far. If Bird and Magic saved the NBA, Jordan is most responsible for its globalization. I remember reading in the early 90s about newly anointed hoops fans in Africa and China and Russia. They all had a name for Jordan in their native tongue, and it usually translated to some version of man who flies like a bird. And at the peak of his powers, I believe Michael Jordan was better at basketball than anyone in the world was at his or her chosen endeavor. There was a natural beauty, a grace, a showmanship, a sense of theater and artistry to a style that went beyond athleticism and into aestheticism. And how many people in the history of the planet could make the world stop for a moment, forget their differences, break out into a knowing smile and applaud in unison? Muhammad Ali famously said, "I was the onlyest boxer in the world people ask questions like a senator." Jordan is the onlyest basketball player in the world to lead a team which was treated like the Beatles or Elvis at the height of their hysteria. Attention was paid in a way it never was before and hasn't been since. We can argue and debate about the greatest, but any game without his presence is cheapened for me, and to me, that is greatness.
You hear that? 94 and 95 Houston Rockets? Bastards.
Big time.
Well put, Wes, and
Well
I can't
said,
wait
Wes.
to watch that. My last thought is for the viewers out there, close your eyes and I want you to imagine something. Week 1, 2020, your favorite team trailing by 4 points. They are on the opposing 4-yard line. They're down 4 points. It's 4th down and goal. Your quarterback calls hike. The pass rush is coming at him. He ducks a defender, scrambles out of the pocket, spots the tight end, wiggling free, hits him for the game-winning touchdown as time expires. The players crowd around each other and celebrate, and they do it in a stadium that is completely empty. We are hearing things from people that are plugged in, that are the medical people in this world, the Faucis of the world. We heard from the California state governor that that if sports return, if they return, there might not be anybody to watch them in the stands. And that is something that is deeply weird. And if it happens, I think it's just something we're going to remember forever. Something like this has never happened before. This is in play. Hopefully, best case scenario, that stadium is going to be filled with 75,000 people when Baker Mayfield finds David Njoku, Mark Sessler. But the fact that that is potentially in play, that is on my mind right now as we move deeper into 2020. All right.
Yeah, there's been a little international baseball affair that took place with no fans in the stands, and I mean the replays are totally surreal, and it's a total reality that this could be the path forward. It's going to be the weirdest year yet for
Mark.
sports fans.
Mark, that was my final thought. That wasn't.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I was just going to take it on into my second final thought.
Piggyback.
And before we say goodbye, hearty congratulations to the Patra family. Oh my goodness, this is the good stuff in life. Kevin Patra, our Around the NFL colleague, a good buddy of ours and a good man. Meet Ezekiel Bogdan Patra, who was born this week. Cute baby there. Wes, you got one coming of your own. Well, Patra's got one already in the house. Congratulations to him and especially Mom for doing the damn thing.
Zeke
Wow.
Patrick coming at you.
That's
I
awesome.
Beautiful.
I'd
What a
say
name. That's the
a
name.
T-shirt that says "Straight Out of Mommy." I think some mommies might say it's not quite that simple. That there's a little bit more involved with the process. But
All right. Thanks
it
to
where you will.
everybody for watching. We'll be back next week, a Tuesday show for the Around the NFL Twitter show as we talk about the draft. This is Dan Hanzus signing off for The Quiet Storm, the mailman, the old boss, and Rick Hollywood in her apartment. Until next week, have a nice weekend, everybody. Stay safe.